Now, the Israeli military has struck a suburb of Beirut and a stronghold of Hezbollah. The target, Israel says, was a Hezbollah commander who was, Israel claims, responsible for the attack that killed 12 children and teenagers in Majdel al-Shams in the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights on Saturday. Hezbollah has denied responsibility for that attack. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had promised to retaliate, and retaliate Israel has.
Death, injuries and destruction. This was what the Lebanese capital was anxiously anticipating for the past 2 days. An Israeli raid on the southern suburb of Beirut. And the target, according to Israeli claims, is one of Hezbollah's senior commanders who's responsible for military operations.
The real question is whether this very grave incident will escalate into a full-blown war. This operation, the military operation conducted today, hours ago, on Hezbollah, targeted the very stronghold of Hezbollah inside Beirut. And what is alarming is Hezbollah has vowed to retaliate if ever the capital, Beirut, is targeted.
Despite the United States' repeated warnings, officials in Tel Aviv said the decision regarding the target of the attack in the southern suburbs of Beirut was made last Sunday, with the return of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu from Washington.
We do not believe that all-out war is inevitable, and we still believe that it can be avoided. And we're continuing to work towards a diplomatic resolution that would allow Israeli and Lebanese civilians to return to their homes and live in peace and security. We certainly want to avoid any kind of escalation, and that is exactly why we continue to remain so deeply focused on diplomacy.
Confirmed by various security sources in both Lebanon and Iran, the target has survived.
In a nutshell, Hezbollah wants to keep the status quo as it was prevailing before October 7, while Israel is determined to change this rule of engagement, change the rule of dissuasion.
Now, the focus shifts to the response, a response only the Hezbollah command can unveil. Since the attack of Israel's bloody onslaught on Gaza, Hezbollah has been involved in tit-for-tat rocket attacks across the border with Israel. And in the middle of heightened tensions and worries of an all-out war, the two sides have managed to keep it at bay so far.
Well, Randolph Noble joins us live now from the suburb in Beirut where the Israeli strike was carried out. Randolph, there have been conflicting reports on the number of casualties, number of injured. The Lebanese Health Ministry has now said that 1 woman has been killed and 68 have been injured. Can you bring us any more from on the ground there where you are?
Well, certainly we are, as you say, we are hearing conflicting reports. Obviously, the focus of this attack, the Hezbollah commander that Israel says was responsible for the attack in the occupied Golan Heights, obviously that's something that Hezbollah denies. That commander that they say was responsible, we're hearing conflicting reports. Israel's state media has reported that he was killed. That's obviously according to the Israeli military. And then Hezbollah says that that attack was unsuccessful. It did not kill this commander. Now, we do know that a number of people have been injured in this attack. As you say, we're hearing as many as 68 are injured. So in either case, this is a massive escalation, and we would expect some kind of response for Hezbollah. The Lebanese government calling for restraint to end what they see as a descending cycle or spiral of violence. Now, I'll just tell you a little bit about where I am. I'm just a few blocks away, maybe just a block and a half away from where this attack happened. Just down the road behind me, you would see this gated area here. These are local officials that have blocked it off, so we're not able to get to the exact site of the attack. But just past the mosque at the corner of this street, just beyond that is a hospital where a number of the victims are believed to have been taken. And actually, just beyond that hospital is believed to be the building where this attack happened. So very much in the locality of where everything happened. And if I just show you over here, obviously we have a military vehicle. This is the front of the mosque. And if you just pan a little bit further, you'll just see a dark street. The buildings are all dark. That's because people in this city, in fact in the country, can't really afford a steady supply of electricity. It just gives you a little bit of a notion that while this is actually a very densely packed area, and we would expect a number of people to be injured in this attack, which we believe involved 3 missiles, it perhaps looks like people are asleep. They are not. It is actually it's so dark because people cannot afford electricity. It is so expensive. There are some reports that the Lebanese people are spending 40% of their paycheck on their electricity bill. It's just a glimpse into how fragile the civilian infrastructure is here. And that is really the fear, that if there is an expanded war and civilian infrastructure is hit, it will just make people's lives here harder. And they are already on the brink after 5 years of a financial crisis. So there is a lot of concern here, obviously, about an expanded conflict. This certainly sets the stage for escalation. It will depend on, first off, whether Israel has ended what it said would be a response for the attack in Majdel Shams. Again, that Druze village in the occupied Golan Heights, Hezbollah denying that it had anything to do with that. Or in another scenario, if there is a response by Hezbollah for tonight's attack, and then that sets off a chain of retaliation. So a number of scenarios to consider. This is really just the outset of escalation. Obviously a diplomatic blitz going on right now internationally, trying to contain the situation, because the stakes are that if it does turn into a full-fledged war, it risks regional conflagration, which nobody wants to see. So very much a tense situation.
Indeed, Randolph, and the Lebanese Prime Minister has condemned what he calls a blatant Israeli aggression. He's referred to the Israeli strike as a criminal act. What more from the Lebanese government this evening?
That's right. The Prime Minister has issued actually a statement. Essentially, as you say, this criminal act that took place tonight is a link in a series of aggressive operations that claim civilians in a clear violation of international law and international humanitarian law. This is something we place in the direction of the international community, which must bear its responsibilities and press with all its force to oblige Israel to stop its aggression. Now, of course, this is calling on the international community to intervene, essentially saying that they bear responsibility in this. Having spoken to a number of people at sort of the top levels of Lebanese society, the Lebanese energy minister, the head of all of the private hospitals in Lebanon, they all say essentially that in a full-scale war, they expect attacks on civilian infrastructure. It's what happened in the last war in 2006 between Israel and Hezbollah. Civilian infrastructure was hit, the airport was hit. That is the fear here. So very much, to the extent that they can prepare for this kind of escalation, they are in terms of the private hospitals stockpiling medical goods and the energy ministry trying to secure more fuel to provide some supply to people. But in the event of full escalation, it's widely expected that civilian infrastructure would be hit. And certainly both of the figures, or the figures that I've spoken to, point to Gaza as an example. The head of the private hospitals here in Lebanon, 85% of Lebanese use private hospitals, saying, look at what's happened in Gaza. The hospitals were a target. There's obviously the fear that in the same vein in which Israel has adopted a policy of collective punishment, that could be applied here as well. So very much a tense situation with respect to how far does Israel go and how much will Lebanese citizens essentially be punished in this war that could very well ascend this escalation ladder where no one can control it if it keeps going, if there's tit-for-tat attacks where they strike deeper into each other's territory. This is the real concern.
Randolph, thank you very much. Randolph Nogel live there from Beirut. Let's bring in Sami Al-Arian, who's the director of the Centre for Islam and Global Affairs at Istanbul Sabahattin Zaim University. He joins us live now. Thank you very much for your time, Sami. First of all, the question here now surely is, will Hezbollah now retaliate?
Absolutely, they would retaliate. The Secretary General of Hezbollah, Hassan Nasrallah, has said that for every strike that Israel hits Lebanon, they will strike back with the equal nature. This is the rules of engagement that have been set very early on in this conflict since October. He said civilian for civilian, military for military, Beirut, Tel Aviv, and so on and so forth. So there is no doubt that a response is coming, and it depends that strike whether the leader that was targeted in this assassination attempt was killed. If he wasn't killed, that retaliation will probably have lesser nature. But in terms of the city, I think it will be a major city, same way as they did Beirut. But if he had been killed, then certainly there would be a much bigger target.
And Sami, what are the global implications of this potential escalation, a potential all-out war, indeed a regional conflict?
Well, there is a lot of concern that this could actually escalate. Israel, part of its military doctrine is what's called escalation dominance. It doesn't like that it could be that it lost its deterrence capability and it could be hit back whenever it strikes. That sense of impunity has been lost now, and it's trying to change this rules of engagement by trying to dictate to its enemies its rules of engagement, and it hasn't been successful. It hasn't been able to achieve any of its objectives militarily and politically. Hamas and the Palestinian resistance are still fighting back in Gaza after 10 months of devastating war, of all the atrocities that have taken place, the genocide, the ethnic cleansing, and so on and so forth. Still, Israel is in a state of attrition. It is not able to dictate the terms, and it's not able to declare victory. It's unable also to achieve its objectives. And now it wants to also do the same in the north, but it can't, because even Hezbollah is much stronger than Hamas is, and if it can't contain Hamas, how could it contain Hezbollah? So what Netanyahu has been trying to do, and that was very clear during his speech to Congress last week, is to drag the United States and possibly other Western powers into this conflict by trying to bring a wider or a regional war in which the United States will take an active and will be an active participant. But I think he will not be able to do so because the U.S. sees absolutely no strategic benefit from dragging its forces into this area. At the same time, it is committed to the defense of Israel. So it's trying to square a circle that's very difficult to square. On one hand, it's trying to contain this war, trying to end this war, particularly in an election year. And at the same time, it can't abandon Israel. So Netanyahu knows these facts, and he's trying basically to drag the U.S. into this wider war. But I think what happened tonight and what's going to happen in the future is that we may come into an escalation situation where it will be very difficult to contain.